Naruto-san, Hanzo rules by strength alone, Izanami pointed out. If he isn't secure in his might enough to refuse a duel, other countries will take it as a sign he isn't what he was. He cannot allow that to happen. As for Yagura, he will never say no to a power contest. The blonde smirked. That self-proclaimed ultimate predator would never see it coming. So, it will be I and you, Madara, against those two. With all of the world as spectators, he chuckled. You cannot hope for a more epic setup. I would have liked to bring allies along, but it would give our opponents an excuse to refuse our challenge or bring in wildcards that he had not planned for. Izanami will stay undercover as support, in case the situation were to deteriorate. You will just have to shout my name, Naruto-san, and I will come, the woman promised. I will fight Hanzo in a duel, and you Yagura. Or the other way around. Tsukiyomi eyed him. Your choice. Both are just as dangerous as the other. Hanzo may lack the Sanbi's power, but he is, at this point, the equal of Namikaze Minato. Your fighting style would be better against Yagura, in my humble opinion. It shall be him, Kazama nodded. Only a former Jinchuriki can beat another, right? Izanami put her fingers on her mask, apparently taking good note of the statement. The salamander, Hanzo. A Megacure's monument to the fallen had a new name. It was as showy as Konoha's. It was a wall made of black, enduring stones, before which people could gather and read the names of the land's heroes. For now, Hanzo was the only one present, having made a point about carving names himself, with his good old kusarigama. The names included war heroes, fighters who were tortured rather than betraying aim, and respectable people who died trying to do the right thing. Yahiko belonged to the last category, and as such deserved a mention on it. You foolish youngster, Hanzo cursed. You had a life before you. Why did you have to be a fool one time too many? Couldn't you just live peacefully with your girlfriend and have good sons to take care of you when you would be old? The old shinobi had none. He had forsaken all hope of a legacy by giving his soul to the rain. He was completely aware Yahiko's ghost wasn't listening, of course. He was just voicing his own thoughts. I kept track of the villages you and your little group helped. Quite the impressive number. I had learned about your open criticism of my policies, you know. But I ignored you. You were a good man, and good men aren't killed for voicing their opinions. He sighed. Then you had to talk with Konoha's scum, thinking I wouldn't learn about it. The samurai snorted. I didn't believe my spies at first. I told them, Yahiko is a good son of his country, a proud aim nin. That can't be him. Then they showed me letters you exchanged with the tree huggers. One of your messenger was in my pockets since the very beginning. He worked for the country, first and foremost. Like me, we can't trust the great nations. They have invaded us countless times, before I came and scarred them away. Namikaze won't be able to change them. In the ninja world, there is no place for morality. He stared at the various names. I'm, 60. I killed my first man at 13. More than 40 years on the battlefield teaches you things. When you see a village burned to the ground by the enemy, when you see your first comrade die from a kunai through the chest, you promise yourself it won't happen again. And when it does, you either kill yourself or you retreat into yourself and keep going. I never surrendered. My country was weak, whereas I was strong. I was the mightiest, the fastest, the best. A samurai in shining armor that people dreamed of. But then, I got into power. He spat on the ground. You really thought I wasn't aware people were hungry? I'm made to fight and make battle tactics, not deal with crops. For all my prowess, I'm a poor ruler. Yagura, I'm aware of what he is, but Kiri's help will allow me to give Ames citizens rations. It's not much, but it's the only thing I can do for now. You might criticize me for allying with the mist. I was forced to compromise. The time I could avoid my problems is over. He stared at his crumpled arm. I'm getting old, Yahiko. One of my favorite pastimes is to cut the raindrops with either my sickle or my katana. 100 per morning, to practice my swing. I never missed. 1 year ago, I missed once. At the time, I thought nothing of it. The following months, I began to miss more and more. This morning, I missed 10 times out of 100. My reflexes aren't what they used to be. No man beat me, but age will in time. Hanzo sighed, realizing since his waning had started it had been a powerful blow to his confidence. I'm not the man I used to be. I can sense my strength leaving me. Sarutobi and Onoki must feel that way as well. Unlike them, I have no strong successor to take the mantle. Even your friend with bright eyes, he won't do much against Konoha's armies. Kiri was the only nation that could support AIM without invading it along the way. When I'm finally gone, AIM will get some measure of peace, all its enemies crippled around it. I did what I had to do, Yahiko. I never enjoyed it in the slightest. The salamander stared at the wall one last time. I will make your sacrifices meaningful. All of you, I promise. I will keep this land safe, even with my last breath. Nice speech. Yagura's voice reached his ears, much to his displeasure. Why attach yourself to a weakling? He died for you to live. Pray or better to be forgotten. I am no animal, Hanzo replied with disgust. I mourn a son of my country. His intentions were misguided, but he had its well-being at heart. Who cares? He's dead. If one dies, then he's too weak to survive in this world. The strong endure. The strong doesn't need to weep for the weak. You're strong, you had the right to have them killed. It's the law of nature. Hanzo clenched his fists. I am to protect the weak and keep the peace. It is my purpose. Yagura spat on the ground. Just look at the herd you call subjects. They're sheep, weeping like cowards, expecting the wolves to back down before their tears and the shepherd to save them. They can't understand what the strong are doing. They have no sense of gratitude. Protecting them is stupid, Hanzo-san. You better toughen them up and allow the few rams hiding among them to grow. He laughed. As for peace, what is peace? A time where kids are multiplying like rabbits and crops are better. Where armies aren't raiding villages. It's a stupid idea the herd dreams of, for it gets thrown out of the window the second one wolf decides it's meaningless and slaughters the sheep. And he was in the right. And civilization crumbles, Hanzo pointed out. He couldn't believe he was actually arguing with this madman. We'd become no more than beasts. Civilization is a lie, Yagura chuckled. Didn't you realize it, once on the battlefield? It's where mankind drops the mask and revels in its true nature, Hanzo. Civilization is regression, the cowards, victory over pure nature. He extended his arms. My goal is to peel away that facade and purify my species through violence. You are its living proof. A wolf having risen among weaklings, whose potential was awakened through pain and destruction. Like me. Hanzo glared at the demon vessel, and spoke his mind. I am nothing like you. The Mizukage simply laughed some more. Truly, it is my belief we both started out the same. We were misguided by foolish ideals. We wanted to save the weak, as we were strong. He grinned madly. Can you imagine that my dream had always been to become Mizukage? To prove we demon vessels were saviors and not devils. His face twisted into rage. They kept badmouthing and hating me. No matter if I died or not, I was just considered a trained animal. And then, dear Isobu opened my eyes. There was nothing wrong with being a beast. It's our nature, no matter how hard we try to repress it. War and battle is fun and good. Bloodshed is natural. Violence makes the strong stronger, and the slaughtered weak cannot pollute our genes. Bloodlines are an impurity. They make ninja lazy. Failures must be crushed. The peaceful will be slain without resistance. The Mizukage stared at the rainy skies. When this world shall be red with the blood of the weak, the sick, the elderly, when the skies will cease to cry for us, mankind shall break free from the chains of morality and civilization. It shall embrace its role as the ruling predators. Our genes will be purified, and we shall be ready to fight everything nature put on our way. At that moment, Hanzo realized his ally just might be a little too crazy for his own good. A few hours later, clad in his shining blue armor, the salamander arrived in his throne room, a large circular enclosure with white walls, one door, with only one circular table. He didn't consider himself a daimyo, sitting on the floor as any samurai should. It was simply the room where he received either his close allies or foreign dignitaries. Today, he was receiving the latter. Welcome, he told the gathered men and women, one ambassador for each nation, sitting before him. The ruler of AIM rarely did it, in fact. He had always maintained a strict stance of neutrality and isolationism. That was about to change. Thank you for accepting my invitation. None had a choice, of course. Especially you, Yagura-san. The pleasure is all mine, Yagura smirked, making the other ambassadors well and truly uneasy. As you all know, a Megakure has always been neutral in all conflicts, ever since my rise into power. He rose up, staring above all dignitaries, and glared at Konoha's ambassador, a Hyuga man he never bothered to memorize the name. However, this changed the second Konohagakure attempted to treacherously destroy my land by assassinating one of our proudest ninjas, Yahiko, after he refused an alliance to take over a Megakure. The lie was horrible, yet would serve a double purpose. It would save Yahiko's reputation, making him a martyr, and give a convenient pretext to declare war on Konohagakure. The announce shocked everyone. What? The ambassador from Leaf gasped in equal and massive amounts of confusion and fear. As such, I have decided to declare war on the Land of Fire, alongside the Mizukage Yagura-san, the samurai continued, ignoring the whispers in the assistants. Our armies shall fight together to destroy the treacherous Leaf, in memory of our dead son. For our country lost a son because of Konohagakure. At the point, it was the perfect time to strike. The other neighborhoods' nations were weakened, their armies far away. Nobody would attack AIM during the Burned Tree campaign. No, it lost a son because of you. Hanzo felt his blood freeze in his veins, as two people materialized on the table, before the assembled dignitaries. Both were wearing black cloaks with red clouds, yet one was very familiar. It was one of Yahiko's helpers, a teen with blonde hair and cold icy eyes. His companion, a masked man, was a total unknown. His Sharingan obviously designed him as a member of the Uchiha clan, and his terrifying aura was very, very familiar. Yagura killed Yahiko, because he opposed your policies, Hanzo. The blonde accused, pointing a finger at the enraged Mizukage. It is him you should declare war on, you liar. We are here to bring you justice, the Uchiha continued, Hanzo recognizing the voice. Your betrayal present you is unfit to govern this land. As such, we Akatsuki will now take over. Hanzo, I thereby challenge you, on the behalf of Akatsuki as a whole, for the title of ruler of a Megakure. You, Yagura, I challenge to single combat, for the murder of Yahiko, and for being an all-around monster, the blonde spoke, his eyes blazing with fury. The Mizukage grinned ear to ear. You have no idea of how outmatched you are without your bloodline-wielding redhead to protect you. He chuckled. All right, I accept your challenge for the place of ultimate predator. Hanzo surprised everyone by laughing. Only the masked man seemed unfazed. I accept your challenge, Uchiha Madara. At the mere mention of the name, the Konoha envoy obviously pissed on himself, evident by the stain on his pants and the distinct smell of ammonia coming from him. I have no idea why the strongest missing nin in existence would be interested in fighting for a bunch of orphans and kids, the salamander whispered, but I have desired to defeat you for years. I have a personal grudge against you. Truly, the Uchiha chuckled, as the audience cowered in dread. I do not remember. I ruined so many lives I lost count. He pretended to not notice the accusing look that his student briefly shot him. I remember well, Hanzo stated, his gas mask turning his breathing into a growl. We met once, back in the time of the clan wars, when the hidden villages were still young. I was just a kid with a kunai, a squire, fighting with a group of AIM samurais you massacred under Konoha's flag. When you stared me, your foot on my chest, I thought my last hour had come. He chuckled. You said, what kind of man kills children? Find yourself a resolve, and you shall become an adult worth my time, and left me bruised and bloodied, but alive. Now, 50 years later, I have found a resolve, and it seems I have become worth your time. The samurai raised his shoulders, and glared at the blonde. It shall not be a duel, however. It would be a waste not to fight a youngster determined enough to defy the Mizukage and thinking he will live to tell the tale. What do you suggest then? The youngster glared back. A tag team battle, the salamander spoke. You two will fight both I and Yagura-san at the same time, in front of all of Omegakure. The stadium of our Chunin exams shall be our battleground. Madara shrugged. All right, we will crush you the way you want. Fine, I get to kill both of you, Yagura smirked, his teeth white and shining. It really was the picture of a shark ready to go on a rampage. Hanzo stared at the blonde ninja. I never got to ask for your name. Arashi Kazama, the last you'll ever learn. The samurai chuckled at the teen's boast. If he could back up his claim, it would indeed be an enjoyable fight. Are you aware I am the reason behind most nicknames in the ninja world? The god of shinobi, the Sannin, the yellow flash, Onoki the twin scales, all were people I fought and found worthy of a legend. He touched his blade. If you prove yourself to be worthy, I shall give you a title too, Arashi Kazama. The Wanderer, Kazama. A true arena. It was a gigantic, circular battleground, with a floor made of black earth, surrounded by benches of white stone. People were gathered there, observing the fighters. Among them were the ambassadors, civilians, ninjas. To them, it was just another spectacle, inevitably leading with their ruler's victory. The skies would cry again soon. Tears of blood it shall be. It feels intoxicating, isn't it? Tsukiyomi's voice snapped him from his thoughts. Having people staring at you, spectators recognizing your worth. Kazama snorted. They're simply looking for entertainment. They see us as meat for their ruler, cowering in fear. They are aware Hanzo's policies are ruining them, and yet they do nothing. They aren't even loyal to him, just without will. They obey whoever is at the top. Gifted and strong-willed people are rare. Madara sneezed. Who cares? You aren't fighting for the masses. You are fighting for yourself. I'm fighting for what I believe is the right thing to do given the circumstances, no matter what the cost, the team corrected, as Yagura and Hanzo readied themselves. The former was wielding his hook, the latter his kusarigama. Yep, it's selfish. It's self-centered. It's about being at peace with myself. Good resolve, Tsukiyomi nodded. Follow your own morality. Don't let the masses decide your principles for you, for they will only keep you down. Follow your own goals, and the world shall bow down to you. He stared at the enemies. Of course, sometimes, your philosophy will clash with others. In this case, it's the strongest resolve that will decide the winners. You're a stepping stone in the food chain, Yagura growled, his eyes blazing with madness. I'm going to wipe you weaklings from the face of the earth. If you want to take my spot, Hanzo stated, you will have to earn it. Come and try, if you can. Tell me, Naruto, do you trust me? The blonde narrowed his eyes. Of course not. Tsukiyomi sighed in disappointment. I hope we won't need cooperation with these two then. Good luck.
Good luck to you too.
When the rain fell on the ground, the battle started, and the crowd roared. Log-sama versus Money-sama, the battle. I, the selfless Holy One, have arrived to destroy you so badly your ancestors will explode just because they were related to you. A shining log spoke, materializing in front of the feral Gale, playing poker with Kakuzu and Ghost. Hidan was sulking into a corner. How dare you betray me for a gold coin? At least Judas asked for more. Hey, it isn't my fault. The ninja protested, pointing a finger at Ghost. He got bribed. Sorry, but I'm more scared of him than loyal to you. He threatened me with punishment you can't even imagine. It involved Midarashi. I'm gonna make you scream like a pig in 12 different languages and dialects Anko. Oh, I see, the log realized it would have done the same in the same situation. It stared at Ghost with wrath. How dare you force your apprentice into not doing his duty of beating the follower of the deity of false monetary gain, you ass. Sorry, but he bribed me. The human-shaped immortal yawned, not caring. I'm up to my tits in debt to Scab. When you're up to your tits in debt to that guy, he does things to you. He shivered. For science. Money-sama's power is almighty. Kakuzu laughed, as the log refrained a sigh. Even it was too sane for all this wacky insanity. Screw it, I'm kicking your ass myself. And yes, I am very well aware that I lack legs. That is just how hard I'm going to maim you right now. Log stated in a deadpan tone, making Kakuzu piss on himself. Thunder suddenly fell, and a golden coin materialized, surrounded by a shiny halo. Money-sama doesn't want to pay for its followers' hospitalization. Money-sama declared, it can invest into destroying a rival deity, however. Your wood will make me richer. I will annihilate your tree-killing face. Log-sama roared, summoning endless armies of logs. I am the pulp of my log. A tree made my body, and awesomeness is my soul. I have spawned over 1,000 future logs. Unaware of destruction, nor aware of defeat. Have withstood pain to save many ninjas. Yet, the log will never end. Unlimited log works. Money-sama will not waste money on buying an aria, the golden coin replied, summoning endless waves of gold bullions. Gate of money. As everyone expected a battle of legendary proportions to decide which was the most ridiculous inanimate deity ever. The true crazy god manifested. One Piece's straw hat, the awesome one, will beat both of you. A straw hat declared, materializing with a halo. Emo killing and awesomeness making blast. A powerful light followed, and only a crater remained of the omake. Did the author write that on crack? Hidan snorted, fleeing through the fourth wall. Yep, definitively. I won't accept any other explanation. From the rubble of the crater, Ghost materialized once more inside. Nope, that way didn't kill me either. He looked around and realized he was the only one left. Oh come on. The minion was raking in some serious cash from that game. We could have bought ourselves a seriously nice omake with that.
Traveler. Original. Naruto. Kazama Arashi.
Puppeteer Naruto. Chibaku Arashi.
Were Fox Hybrid. Naruto. Kitsune Arashi. Female. Naruto. Naruko Arashi.
Traveler Kakashi. Kamui. Alternate Nadaime Hokage. Kubaiko.
Deceiver. Original. Madara. Tsukiyomi. Destroyer Rinnegan. Madara. Susanoo.
Warrior Collector Madara. Amaterasu, now dead. Female Tobi. Izanami. Currently, they are scattered in 4 worlds. Shadaime. Madara World. Chibaku, Sasori, Haku, Kubaiko. Gadaime. Itachi World. Kitsune, Gaara, Naruko. Mystery World Alternate Omegakure. Kazama, Tsukiyomi, Susanoo. Alive. Yondaime World. Kakashi, Yugito, where we are now. Chapter 30. Blast from the Past. This is the end, Madara, he declared to the defeated Uchiha. The madman was standing still, thoroughly impaled by Zabuza's blade in the middle of a field of corpses. It had taken dozens men and 4 kage to defeat the masked man, but now, it was the end. Kushina's spirit could finally rest in peace. The Uchiha laughed. The end, you say? The dying villain stared at his killers. The Hokage, Namikaze Minato, the Mizukage, Momochi Zabuza, the Tsuchikage, Onoki, and the mysterious Yondaime Kage. You are mistaken. This may be my end, but not the end. The end is not for today. I've heard better last words, Zabuza snickered, his face covered with blood. You gave me the fight of my life and this is all you can say, I am disappointed. Last words are for those who haven't said enough, Madara whispered. His blinded white eyes stared at Minato. You do realize you are doomed to fail, Namikaze. This world's sorrow shall linger, even without me. My own sorrow at losing those I love to you will always linger, Madara, Minato admitted, remembering Kushina's last moments, as she agonized in his arms. He remembered the Sandaime's sacrifice to allow him a chance to be a father to his son. Never again shall I allow these tragedies to repeat, and one like you to rise. The Uchiha shrugged. I see, you haven't learned much. People like me, like Nagato, will rise endlessly. Tomorrow belongs to us, Namikaze. You cannot stop it, only delay it, for a force in every human heart shall make us rise again endlessly, until we win. It is a force stronger than love, stronger than life itself. Evil, Zabuza deadpanned. The Uchiha spared him no glance, keeping his focus on the blonde. One day, you will see one person. It may be a child, a man, a woman, of any clan, of any name, of any country. You will look into this person's eyes, and you will see your world burning. You will see yourself burning. You will see me, Orochimaru, Nagato. You will see what motivates us. You will see what motivates conquerors and avengers alike. You will see nothing but a pure, undiluted desire for harm. Then, and only then, shall you understand a simple fact. He chuckled one last time, blood dropping from his mask. You will understand hate. Our hate always lives on. His body fell into dust. The scenery changed. An inferno. It turned into an inferno, where all things were nothing but flames and ashes. The entire world was burning. At the center of it all stood a dark figure. A shadow, neither male nor female. But it had eyes. Do you remember, Minato? The voice belonged to thousands people. Madara, Nagato, Orochimaru, Kenta, and so many others. Do you remember the pain of losing her? The despair, the helplessness. Do you feel it inside you? Remember the pain, Minato, for soon, all will feel this pain. And you will be powerless to stop it. Blue eyes full of hate. Minato, wake up. The Hokage's eyes snapped open. His first sight was of his own desk and paper. Raising his head groaning, the Yondaime pushed his back against his armchair. I fell asleep again, didn't I? Uchiha Makoto simply smiled, pushing a few documents around in order to sit on the desk, right in front of the Hokage. You are overworking yourself, Minato. You are going to kill yourself at this rate, or at least age faster than you should. Minato chuckled weakly. She was right. He was overtaxing himself. This was the second time he fell asleep since that morning. It has to be done, he replied, taking a few documents. This time they were Jiraiya's reports on the situation in Kumo. O was obviously gunning for something, he just couldn't put his fingers on what. It is the only way to safeguard the peace we struggled so hard to achieve. Makoto narrowed her eyebrows in slight displeasure. It doesn't mean you have to do everything alone, she pointed out, not buying his excuse. You could rely on others to help you. You could have more time to see your son, and be with me. She glared at her lover in anger. Why are you so intent on doing everything alone? Minato clenched his jaw. He joined his fingers. Do you remember what I told you some months ago? Madara's last words. Why was he talking about it? His speech on how hate would live on. The woman bit her lip. Minato, it was the last curse of a now dead madman. You shouldn't take what he said at face value. He sighed. He hadn't taken them seriously at first, until later events came to prove the mad Uchiha right. Then, what did you see in Fugaku's eyes, when you stabbed his heart? What did you see, if not hate? His lover looked as if she had been slapped, and glanced elsewhere, avoiding the blonde's gaze. Betrayal, surprise, and sadness. He didn't expect me to do it. Then again, I was surprised myself. She shook a bit. I couldn't control my hands, when he had admitted being the cause of Kushina's death. I lashed out, I guess. Her tone was trembling. Minato knew the memory still haunted her, years after it happened. When he had interrogated Itachi, who had rushed to the scene, his mother was still in state of shock and unable to talk at all. How did you figure out it was him who gave our location to Madara? The woman smiled sadly. I was suspicious, but I always refused to admit it to myself. He was my husband and the father of my children, Minato. You cannot imagine how hard it was to admit Fugaku might have been on our enemy's side all along. When he began talking of rebellion, my suspicions grew, until I managed to blurt them out one day. When he confirmed he was the one that had Kushina killed, I snapped. She shifted uncomfortably in her seat. My own son saw me kill his father right in front of him. The blonde gently caressed Makoto's fingers. Itachi holds nothing against you. He told it to me himself. Your action has probably spared the Uchiha clan as a whole. It had been a pain in the ass to make Fugaku's death pass as a murder by an Akatsuki infiltrator and pinning the rebellious elements of the clan as a whole on the other group, but with Itachi's help, it had been possible. Maybe, or I could have been more careful and prevented Kushina's death, Makoto replied darkly, before eyeing her lover. Minato, what I saw in Fugaku's eyes does not matter, for he deserved what came to him. It's just, I keep having a nightmare, the Hokage admitted. One that always wakes me up. She knew it. After all, they shared the same bed, and she had been woken up herself more than once, as her lover screamed. I always see them. These eyes Madara talked about. The eyes of hate itself. The Uchiha matriarch said no word. Minato took it as an invitation to carry on. I keep seeing them. They haunt me. They pursue me. He narrowed his eyes. I don't want my son, or Obito, or Sasuke, or any of the new generation, to ever see them again. To see what they love the most robbed because a hateful person decided so on a whim. Makoto's eyes widened briefly, and then she retook a stoic expression. She approached his lips and took them with her own. Her lips were soft and hot, and it gave some pleasure to the depressed man. A part of him remembered Kushina. Dear Kushina and her kisses. Kushina as she laid dying in her own blood, comforting their newborn son. These memories, Minato would never forget. He had learned to love once more, but he would never forget. After a moment, Makoto broke the kiss and locked eyes with the Hokage. This fear, it's exactly what Madara wanted. To see you consumed by fear. You don't have to bear all the world's problems on your shoulders. We can bear some too. She frowned in displeasure. Your son misses you, beloved. Your son needs you outside of detention for bad behavior. Minato stiffened at that. She was right, unfortunately. He shut his mouth, took his breath, and opened it once again. I don't know what to do with him. Teach him fishing, ninjutsu, whatever. Talk with him. Ask about his team, his interests. Spend time with him. She glared, and the Hokage squirmed slightly. The world can wait, but if you continue your destructive lifestyle, Naruto's childhood will pass without you. The Yondaime looked as if he had been slapped. He pondered the words. You believe a break would be fine? The Uchiha smiled. Take your weekend, and let your assistants take over for the moment. She stared at the office's windows. Just you, our respective sons, and me. There are plenty of locations we could enjoy visiting. Minato smiled, until a knock at the door ruined the moment. Hokage-sama, I need to speak to you. Rin-san has been kidnapped. Minato's eyes turned cold and serious in an instant. In the next he was already out of the room. The healed man, Kamui. There wasn't a noise to be heard as the group traveled to their destination, and Kakashi Hatake, also going by the name of Kamui, didn't like it at all. The forest was dark. The silence was heavy. Birds had stopped singing, the beasts had fled. It was almost as if time had stopped and the shinobi there were the only ones free from the curse. It was too calm, in his opinion. Kamui briefly recalled the first time he had dealt with this event in his world and in his version of the forest. Kenta's guards had ambushed his group of Anbu kilometers away from the castle. This time however, the group he was with had yet to face any resistance. Something wrong? His Anbu self asked, with a hint of worry. He was leaping next to him on branches, closely followed by the rest of the makeshift team. We should have been attacked already, if events are truly similar to those I experienced. This is easy. Way too easy. They obviously have a trap waiting for us, Yugito pointed out. The Jinchuriki was staring into the forest's shadows, her eyes obviously seeing farther than their own. You do not seem bothered, Mei Terumi chuckled, putting on a cheerful smile. I have the excuse of seeking some thrill, but you, Yugito. The blonde lass shrugged, not bothering to stare at her new friend. To be honest, I'm confident enough in my abilities to notice enemies attacking. I cannot say the same for hidden trap jutsu though. My Sharingan will notice them. Itachi's eyes were now as red as blood. Ayatsuri Kenta isn't known as someone gifted at trapping. He's a social expert, not a hunter. You would be surprised by the number of skills one can learn during a long self-imposed exile, Tsunade snorted. Believe me, I'm speaking from experience. He will rely on bodyguards and trained soldiers for protection, Kamui spoke. Kenta never truly trusted machines or traps. They lack the degree of self-awareness and adaptation the psycho thought was necessary to avoid failure. He used waves of them in my universe, sacrificing them without care. He will do the same. I'm afraid that's not the case this time, Yugito replied as she narrowed her gaze forward. The shinobi narrowed his eye. Why, you see someone? Two, and they're both extremely dangerous. She nodded. We'll reach them within 5 minutes. They are clearly waiting for us. I don't see anyone else. The Anbu Kakashi shrugged, revealing his Sharingan. Quality over quantity, I guess. Kamui nodded, and took off his mask from his eye. Obito's gift would be very, very helpful in the oncoming minutes. This time, I won't screw up. I promise. I will save her. They reached a darker segment of the forest. Trees were now so close the sunlight could hardly pass through the leaves. It was the perfect place for an ambush, and the group stopped on a very large branch belonging to a magnificent, gigantic oak. On another branch, 10 meters away from the team, 2 famous missing nins were standing still. Greetings, my dear moneybags in waiting, Kakuzu of the waterfall spoke. His skin was black, similar in texture to hard stone. Quite the interesting bunch. 100 million, 120 million, 80 million, and a magnificent 150 million treasure. All of this money, I'm almost crying in joy. Pity I can't, with the mask and all. Itachi blinked, and voiced everyone's thoughts. Did he just address us by our bounty? Yes, 50 million's bag. Want to join my bank account? You greedy unbeliever, Hidan the Jashinist cursed. Do you always think people is money? Yes, my dear 110 million. Not that you have any worth, mind you. It's a shame I can't gather your money. How very sad. The priest glared at him, enraged. You bastard, I'm no bounty prize. I know, but making fun of you is addictive. It gives my life further purpose and always puts a smile on my face. Seeing you cry in pain and humiliation helps me sleep at night. Your demise is my lifelong goal, besides making more money. At that point Kamui's mind had stopped working. What the hell, are you Kenta's henchman? The term is elite expensive S-rank bodyguard, Kakuzu insisted with a lecturing tone, as if he was talking to the biggest idiot he had ever met. Henchman is an ugly word. You better learn to talk better, little boy, or, as your elder by around 60 years, I will spank you. The fact nobody talked, probably out of justified amazement at the sheer absurdity of the scene, made the lecture even worse. Anyway, your psycho ex-boyfriend father whatever is waiting for you, Kakuzu snorted, showing Kamui the way. You are the only one allowed for the date. He wants no peeping, so you and your twin get to go farther. The rest will have to wait. Yugito narrowed her eyes. If we refuse, you will attack us. The missing nin simply raised his shoulders and shrugged. Kakashi, we can get rid of them together, then add support against Kenta. Doing such a thing would risk Inuzuka Rin's life and give additional time for Kenta to prepare, Terumi pointed out. I suggest you two go on without us and try stopping him. We will join you later, once they're dead. You have a lot of courage, 100 million. Kakuzu cracked his fingers. I hope you can back up your claim. Otherwise, you will regret crossing my path. Jashin-sama will shepherd these new souls, Hidan whispered, holding his symbol. A black and red scythe popped up in his left hand, surrounded by a malicious dark aura. The time for death has come. Blessed are those who stand against the unbelievers, for they shall triumph. We shall kill these two loons, Tsunade spoke calmly, her words a mere whisper to Kamui's ear. Go on, Itachi nodded, kunai in hand. Yugito's eyes flickered at the silver-haired ninja that she had spent the most time with so far. You better survive. I'm the only one allowed to kick your ass, and that girl deserves to live. So, she smiled. Good luck. Kamui grinned behind his mask. You too. He locked eyes with his Anbu self. Let's go. The duo jumped on the bodyguard's branch. Kakuzu, however, stopped them, grabbing their shoulders. Both Kakashi prepared for an assault. The base is hidden in the vegetation, he spoke, releasing them. Focus, or you will miss it. The twins blinked, and leapt a moment later. The missing nin hadn't even spared them a glance. They will do well, the Anbu stated, in an obvious attempt to alleviate Kamui's worries. However, I wonder why Kenta didn't bring additional muscle. We might have attacked earlier than he planned, yes. He didn't expect us to have knowledge of his base's location, yes. But only 2 henchmen, no way in hell. He had hundreds in my home world, including his own little, trained tools. Maybe his summons were a little too hungry. Dog summons, Kenta told him, presenting him the pups sleeping in a corner, or ninkin, are a specialty of mine. My father taught me how to tame them, as his father taught him, and so on. Ninkin have an arrangement with a few ninjas lines. We train their young, and they fight at our side. These ones are now yours to name and train. In a decade, they will be excellent additions to your own skills. Kakashi narrowed his eyes at the dogs, already finding names. Paku, for the little orange one, and he would name the rest later. Why are they of different breeds? Ninkin are divided into clans, just as we do. Their society is very similar to our own. Consider these pups as a larger genin team you will slowly train to Chunin level. Most clans live together in harmony and as such form cross-breeds teams. Most, Kakashi asked, until he remembered they were similar to ninjas. They have missing ninkin. Indeed, a few clans of ninkin are composed of man-eating hounds, and are so vicious other ninkin attack them on sight. You see, when summons eat humans, they absorb a small amount of their chakra, growing stronger than their brethren in the process. I have little doubt this is why Orochimaru's Manda is the strongest summon available, but the Sannin will never admit it. A few clans of ninkin made a habit of eating humans to become more powerful, until they enjoyed the taste. The man smiled. These clans refuse to work for anybody unless they are provided sacrifices. The more sacrifices they receive, the stronger are the hounds they offer you as attack dogs. They don't give pups, only grown-up warriors, of whom you have to buy their loyalty with blood. Of course, doing so results in all other ninkin ending their partnership with you and Konoha trying to hunt you down, so only missing nin turn to these clans for help. The Anbu stiffened. Man-eating summoned hounds. He's gone that far. Scratch that. He's gotten far past that point. To sacrifice hundreds, it means he has the loyalty of a few top evil dogs. Kamui chuckled. Ninkin. The Anbu laughed. Yeah, they reached a little brown castle, which walls were covered by moss and vines. It was hard to distinguish it from the vegetation. Probably what the builders had in mind. Here we are. Yeah, Kamui stated, reaching the opened gates. He is waiting for us. Waiting with Rin. Please, gods, Azanagi, whoever will listen, please, let her be unharmed. If the Anbu's serious face was of any indication, he had a similar prayer in mind. They passed through the main entrance without issue, walking through lightened corridors. They met no one alive. Kamui knew the way, and guided the two toward Kenta's throne room. Unfortunately, the castle's architecture forced them to walk through the sociopath's playground. Kamui had never learned what purpose these rooms had, until they were turned into Kenta's laboratory. The walls were brown and dirty. The meager light that pervaded the hallways revealed the man's crimes for all to see. The cells were black, and the people inside them silent. Kakashi had never seen this part of Kenta's orphanage, hidden from all. Even he wasn't trusted with these dirty secrets. And now, he was forced to learn all of them, his Sharingan forever imprinting the memories in his mind. How can he have hidden this filth for so long? Minato asked out loud, his face twisted in disgust. I believe he had help from some well-placed individuals, Danzo spoke. The crippled warhawk didn't seem too much bothered by the sight, as stoic as ever. Sarutobi has already started arresting several of them. He paused for a moment before looking almost lazily at the blonde man with his lone good eye. Now may be an opportune time to start a purge, Yondaime-sama. You have a convenient excuse. We just have to add names to the list of condemned. The Purge. All people linked to this horror will be executed, but I will not use this debacle to stage a political coup. As you wish. Danzo nodded silently before handing him some journals. Here are some the notes Kenta left after fleeing. Hiyashi, Shiba and Sum are on his trail, but I doubt he will be found for at least a few years. The Yondaime took the notes and read them. His frown deepened. So, this was the side of his program he never showed us, and how he funded it. Minato stared sadly at the kids waiting in the cells. Creating emotionless soldiers and prostitutes for the highest bidder, his expression turned cold. When all his victims are sent into therapy, burn it all.
Yondaime-sama?
Burn the notes in this place. Leave nothing but ashes. It will be done, Danzo promised. Kakashi couldn't care less. His eyes were fixated on a girl, barely older than him, whose eyes were empty of will. What is your name? He asked, fearful of the answer. She raised her head. I don't have a name. Dolls don't need them. He would never forget her face. 6 operation tables. 6 bodies on them, a 7th laid on the ground. Oh God, the Anbu whispered in horror, examining the red-haired girl's body, whose corpse was lying in her own blood. The body is still hot. He must have killed her not even an hour ago. He stopped. He removed part of her flesh. Not only flesh. Kamui examined an eyeless corpse, and then another. A gray-haired boy. A familiar one. It was this world's version of the Kagaya that worked under Zabuza, back when they fought in Wave. This one is a Kagaya. Kenta removed his limbs, bones and the ribs. What the hell was he doing? The Anbu spoke with a disgusted tone. Experimentation. I never saw this last time. Kamui stared at the laboratory's stairwell, which would inevitably lead to the throne room. Things are happening differently. If he removed eyes and bones from bloodline wielders, the Anbu trailed off. He implanted them into himself. 2 bars minimum. He will be tougher than the one I faced, that's for sure. Kamui stared at his counterpart. I will take care of him and give you an opening. Grab Rin and get away as soon as you can. The Anbu narrowed his eyes. I promised on Obito's grave I would never leave a comrade behind ever again, myself. We will fight together or die together. You've got the life you deserve. Kamui's expression was one of pure seriousness. The only one I ever wanted. Live happily. That's my wish. I might die taking him down, but if I make sure you and Rin are happy then it will be worth it. We will free Rin and kill him. The ANBU's gaze was determined, iron-willed. You will not die. You will live long enough to see your family again. You will grow old and die with a legacy. He offered him his hand. Let's do it together, Nisan. Kamui stared at the hand, and shook it, repressing tears. All right. He stared at the stairs again. Let's make things right this time. The duo ascended, and finally entered a large, cubic room. The walls were made of yellow bricks. Light was provided by seals on the ceiling in the shape of snakes. At the opposite end of the room was a throne made of silver. Rin was tethered to it, her limbs and neck kept immobile by black shackles. The chains themselves were in contact with a red device, one that included rods of dynamite. 2 huge black hounds were circling the throne, their teeth shining a sick yellow and their eyes vicious. Next to Rin, Ayatsuri Kenta was standing, holding a cup of tea near his mouth with his left hand. The sick man was more akin to a mummy than anything now. His whole body was covered by bandages. The only visible parts of his body were few tufts of silver hair, his white lips, and 2 Byakugan staring intensely at the newcomers. Welcome home, Kakashi. You must have had a long travel. Would you care for some? The cat, Yugito ni. As the 2 Kakashi left on their journey to save their loved one, the vessel of the Nibi focused on her imminent opponents. Kakuzu's soul was made of pure greed. So much so that she could hardly believe what she was seeing. The guy's entire life and goal was money. For it to have warped his soul itself was almost unheard of, only further proving that his avarice was truly inhuman. Otherwise, it was the soul of a jaded old ninja. Hidan's soul was just as warped, but in another way. His soul was dark-pitched, yet tainted by a fanatic religious, obsessive faith. It was the soul of a zealot devoted to a dark deity. He would do anything for his religion. Anything. 3 hours. Nope. 4. Tsunade glared at Kakuzu, who was staring at his fingers. What are you counting? She spoke with clear displeasure. Oh, just the time it will take us to kill you and collect your bounties, the missing nin shrugged his shoulders. Yugito narrowed her eyes. Guys, I don't know what Kenta promised you as reward, yet the little I have learned about him convinced me he wasn't going to fulfill his promises. Kakuzu snorted, unconcerned. Of course he isn't going to pay us. They all stared at him with widened eyes, even Hidan. What? Think about it. He offered us a new job right after we asked for payment. He's stalling for time because he is either bankrupt or needed a delay. He lies well, but I have enough taken classes in psychology to recognize a sociopath when I see one. Kenta may have a high IQ to make up for his impulses, but he's still a pathological liar that can't be trusted. Plus he's going to die soon with the 2 Kakashi on the way. Yugito felt her blood freeze in her veins. Realization hit her, and Mei voiced her suspicions. You didn't intend to show them the way, just to test if it was a shadow clone by seizing them. The missing nin chuckled. I have no idea of what to think of that. Does the copy nin have a twin? Is it a ninja disguised as him? Regardless, the conclusion is the same. Kenta won't expect it and shall die. Hence, we are jobless. And penniless. Yeah right, you're the richest unbeliever in the entire world. Hidan contested. You have more money than a few hidden villages. Yes, my bank account does provide some comfort, as I am forced to listen to your auntie. He thrust his palms towards the group and a powerful pillar of flames descended upon them. Yugito leapt away, not so surprised by the sneak attack, only for Kakuzu to jump at her midway. She blocked a powerful blow with her palm, but the sheer power behind it propelled her toward the ground below. Hidan let himself fall from his branch, rotating on his axis with his scythe, effectively turning himself into a cutting whirlwind. The kunoichi barely had the time to rise up and dodge, leaving the priest to regain his footing. The second he landed, a waterfall of boiling water splashed the priest, making him scream his lungs out. I expected more from S-rank missing nin, Mei spoke, landing next to Yugito, as Hidan continued to twist in pain. Above them were numerous explosions. Itachi and Tsunade had apparently teamed up against Kakuzu and were fighting him in the branches. Unless you have some trick. Jashin Sama will eat your soul. Hidan laughed insanely, his skin turning black. The 2 kunoichi put themselves on guard, as the madman stared at them with malevolent joy and made hand seals. Here it comes. The Lord of Darkness, Jashin Sama. At this moment, his shadow rose up. As in, separated from the ground and gained a consistence. It was as thin as a sheet of paper, yet very real. It started growing, reaching the size of a giant. The shape changed, gaining horns and claws. In place of eyes, one purple, glowing light was visible. I recognize that aura. Oh shit, the Nibby cursed, sounding fearful. Kitten, run.
Wow.
Don't ask, just run away. You cannot beat it. The shadow's lone eye shined brightly, and fired a purple shooting star at them. Both kunoichi ran away, barely avoiding the attack. The projectile hit the ground, shined, and left nothing behind. The piece of land it had impacted against, approximately 10 square meters, had vanished. It was as if a painter had erased a part of its work. What the, Nibby, what the hell is that thing? Picture yourself void, darkness, order, and stars, embodied into a god, all with the demeanor of a civilized person. Imagine a force of nature that is to you what you are to an ant, and then you can picture yourself a Matsu Mikabashi, the god you should run away from, like, now. Yugito blinked in horror. This is a god. This is the god, Jashin Sama. Hidan corrected, laughing his ass off and waving his scythe. You face my religion's ultimate jutsu, the star god incarnation ritual. Mei's jaw dropped. A variant of the dead demon-consuming seal? She fearfully asked, not so confident anymore. Kitten, this thing above is a god, and it is using its followers' life force and soul to partially manifest in this world, the Nibby explained. Oh, it can only use a fragment of its power, but even a billionth of a god's power is too much for the two of us. Yugito nodded. If even a Biju was suggesting running away, then they really had no chance. May, we need to flee. You wish. Hidan chuckled, slamming his hands on the ground. Star God Ritual. Ultimate Encampment. A purple, cubic barrier materialized around a large area of the forest, cutting them off from the outside world. Well, kitten, I am afraid running away is now out of option. May joined her palms. Yugi-san, a god might be unbeatable, but not its summoner. If we kill Hidan, his god will lose its anchor to this world and vanish, the demon vessel finished. Easier said than done. By the way, as we may die, it was an honor meeting you. Yugi-san, we cannot die yet, the Kiri-nin smiled, as Hidan charged at them, screaming maniacally. We both have too many things left to do. I'm not even old yet. The greedy, Kakuzu. Can't you quiet down a bit? Kakuzu shouted at his partner below, as the barrier rose. Some of us are trying to be professional here. Ignoring the enemy is not professional, Kakuzu-san, Itachi Uchiha pointed out, making hand seals. Fire release. The G. One of Kakuzu's animated masks shot a beam of light at the Uchiha, interrupting his theatrical and pointless presentation of his attack. The so-called genius leapt on another branch, having wasted his breath for an attack that would never come. My turn. Kakuzu joined his palms. Fire release. The great fireball. He breathed in deeply and unleashed a series of extremely fast bullets of wind at the surprised Uchiha. The teen's expression was priceless. Yeah, as if I was going to announce the technique I'm about to use. Itachi avoided the attacks gracefully, dodging the incoming bullets. Goddamn Sharingan. Tsunade took that time to punch him. Seeing it coming, Kakuzu leapt away, using his threads to change his fall's course. He landed on a tree's trunk. First lesson when dealing with Tsunade Senju, keep your distance and blast her from afar. One of his masked monsters, with the face of a white rabbit, started spitting icicles at the kunoichi. The Senju didn't avoid. She broke the incoming projectiles with her index finger. I hate show-offs, he grumbled, leaping down to the ground to avoid a tree-shattering punch. He landed next to his partner and his god demon whatever it was. His enemies gathered, the Sannin and Uchiha prick joining Yugito Ni and the Kiri bounty. Especially when they are trouble to deal with. You aren't any better, Tsunade snorted. All that silly talk to make us drop our guard. I expected better from one of my grandfather's enemies. That's the point. You weren't expecting it. Kakuzu pointed out. Surprise, my dear money. Surprise is a powerful tool for winning. Just like oh shit look behind you. He pointed his finger at an empty space.
Nobody was fooled. Well, it was worth a try.
Kakuzu, stop joking around. Hidan growled, his god-summon thing joining its palms. Jashin-sama is getting restless. The bounty hunter rolled his eyes. Couldn't he understand he was pretending to be carefree to make himself look weaker than he actually was? Ninjas tend to underestimate flippant adversaries. Sometimes, the peak of wisdom is to fake being as dumb and crazy as a clown, so you get the last laugh. Tell your god I only worship Money-sama. That god doesn't even exist. I beg to differ. Money-sama has existed since man discovered currency. Money-sama is within every human heart. The world doesn't work in spite of Money-sama, but because of its golden glory and greediness. Operation Piss Them Off started, the bounty hunter thought, seeing his enemies visibly losing patience with the duo. Tsunade, however, wasn't duped. Don't be fooled, Kakuzu managed to fight my grandfather and survive. He is simply being flippant because he can afford to. Kakuzu sighed. I guess they are used to crazy stuff, my bad. Alright, time to be serious then, he joined his palms. Hidan, you don't mind if I kill you along with them in a concert of fireworks and explosions. Jashin-sama will protect me, you idiot.
Killjoy. Kamui.
Kamui wasted no time.
Amaterasu.
He targeted Kenta himself, avoiding the dynamite. He blasted out his black flames, intending to roast the bastard alive. Unfortunately, the fire was almost immediately redirected to the ceiling, much to his amazement. The seals absorbed the heavenly flames of the Uchiha, as they were designed to. The monster had taken a liking to sealing, it seemed. Why such violence? Kenta asked, with a fake affable voice. His soulless eyes, they didn't lie. He opened his right hand, revealing a little black rod with a red button on it. If I press this, the device explodes and we all die, including her. So, please, can we talk like civilized people, before the inevitable happens? I must say I am impressed you improved the Sharingan this far. Both Hatake Kakashi would have loved to say no and kill him on the spot. They really did. Unfortunately, Rin's life was more important. The device was obviously real, and Kenta was not the kind of man to bet everything on an empty threat. Did you bring a shadow clone for additional support? Smart. Kenta's words were apparently genuine. Of course, they hardly hid the sinister tone and glee. You have always had a weakness for your teammates, Kakashi. That's why you failed me. I will fix you, have no worry. I have nothing to prove to you. The Anbu stared at Rin. Don't worry, it will be all right. Leave, Rin shouted, her voice laced with desperation. We all know he's not going to let me live, no matter what. Don't get near me. The sight brought back terrible memories to Kamui. The hospital waiting room was white, deathly white. Yet, full of warmth. When a doctor entered, Kakashi stared at him hopefully. You have a wonderful boy, Kakashi-san. Rin-san is waiting for you. Guy started crying, and Kakashi happily gave him a tap on the back. He rose up and entered the hospital bedroom, the doctor closing the door behind him. Rin was holding a baby in white blanket, near her breasts. She was laying on her head, obviously dead tired, and smiled when she noticed her lover. Kakashi smiled back, and gently took the newborn from her. He was asleep, his eyes closed. Wonderful, he whispered to his child. He's our future, Kakashi, Rin replied with a faint smile. Our love. Indeed, the copy nin let his Sharingan memorize every detail of the scene. Do you see, Obito? This is your nephew, for you were a brother to me and I never got to realize it in time. Obito, why not call our son Obito? Our teammate's name would live on. True, Kakashi smirked, as the baby started moaning. Hello, Obito, I am your father, and I will never let you go. I'm not letting you live, indeed. For ruining my masterpiece, the punishment is death. Kenta caressed the detonator, obviously struggling against his murderous impulses. Suicide didn't bother him much, obviously. The Anbu glared at Kenta in anger. Why don't you leave us alone? I escaped your clutches, and that deserves death. I have no intention of killing you, Kakashi. Kenta smiled, showing his sharpened teeth. Kurigakure, Kamui thought, he copied their horrible tradition. How could I? You are my greatest creation. The ultimate ninja, the best of the best. Namikaze sabotaged you, but have no worry, I will cure you from your ailment. He sighed. Of course, the treatment will be painful. Emotionally painful. Of course, after it you won't have any emotions left, so the pain won't last. You twisted monster, Rin spat on the floor. The black hounds growling, and Kenta silenced them with a simple glare. They were dark ninja dogs, who had tasted the flesh of man. They grew stronger, increasing their chakra reserves, at the cost of reverting back to savagery. The beasts traded their services against blood. For Kenta to have tamed them to that point, he must have had given them plenty of food. You killed Obito, and now, you want to finish what Iwa had begun. Yes, I want to. A pity they failed at their job. I paid them with decisive information on Konoha, I gave them every tool needed to succeed, and yet they still managed to screw up. Kenta snorted. Namikaze discovered my involvement, forcing me to exile myself. Cursed Danzo stole my research and notes. My network within both civilians and shinobis had been dismantled. I had to restart everything from the ground up. It was very stressful. He stared at Rin. What kept me going, you wonder? The conviction I would one day repair your mistakes, and cure my ultimate weapon from its illness. Now, my life has come to an end, but my legacy shall remain. I have prepared years for this day, waiting until you would lower your guard. Kabuto was your mole all along, the Anbu realized. He had been tasked to spy on us from afar. Yes and no, the hounds slightly grinned in sadism. Kamui immediately understood they had eaten the traitor. He was one of Orochimaru's men. Many of my minions were survivors of the cage's purge of Otogakure I gathered for my own purposes. The Sanin's notes helped my research a great deal. I owe him one from beyond the grave. These experiments, Kamui narrowed his eyes. You gathered his experiments and tried to complete them. He paled in horror. You didn't. Kenta shrugged. He did. You used people as living subjects. You tried to complete your super soldier program, even after having lost everything. You cannot imagine how hard it has been, to see myself fail endlessly. People aren't like you and I. They fail constantly. Again and again and again. After my 20th or so attempt, I had to drop all hopes of reproducing you. He smirked. Although I managed to complete Orochimaru's work on myself, I am not like others people, I feel no pain. A monster through and through that only looked human in physical form. Even then, what was under the bandages probably didn't look very human anymore. Kenta, Kamui spoke. Before I kill you, I would like to ask you a question. I never got to ask it last time we fought. I was too occupied ramming a Chidori in your chest. Last time, Kenta narrowed his eyes, obviously misunderstand what he meant. What do you mean by last time we fought? Kamui ignored him. Why? He asked, the Anbu and Rin staring at him. Kenta blinked in confusion. Why what? Why are you doing all this? Kamui growled. What is the point in breaking me? To gain some satisfaction. Why are so obsessed with this super soldier program? Because you want to prove you were successful. What will it bring you? Why the hell are you ruining lives left and right? For a second, Kenta said no word. He was perfectly still, his eyes the very picture of serenity. I am to exist forever. The monster had adopted a neutral expression. When I am gone, I will leave a legacy behind. My program, once proven successful, will inspire others to follow in my footsteps. Why do you think we people remember the Sage of the Sixth Paths? The puppeteer Monziman, Uchiha Madara, they opened new perspectives for future generations. In the ninja world, higher powers are always looking for weapons and perfect ninjas. If I manage to create at least one, then scientists will replicate my feat and better the processes I initiated. Ayatsuri Kenta will forever be remembered as a respected forerunner. I will be the equal of the sage himself.
Silence.
You are doing all this, horror, for a megalomaniac ego trip? Kamui asked, horrified. All this so you can be remembered? You do not understand. Kenta shook his head in disappointment. It is not an ego trip, but the ultimate way to defeat death. Do you remember all the people who died on the front lines for the sake of others? No, you remember those who inspired them to kill themselves in the first place. I am good at turning people into weapons, so why shouldn't I have pursued my talent? I don't know, maybe because it was morally reprehensible, the Anbu deadpanned with a disgusted tone. Kenta simply shrugged his shoulders with a chuckle. Morality does not exist. On the inside, people do not believe in it either. Right and wrong are just stupidities fools use to feel better about themselves or interact with others. They put their trust into people who say, hey, how are you? As if everyone said what they truly thought. He caressed the button. So society blames us honest and superior individuals for their misdeeds. Like black sheep. But it's the world who made us what we are. Society is built on lies and strife. Is it no wonder they made people like me? The monster sighed. I am the victim there. Konoha and its teachings morphed me into what I am. The shinobi system and wars made me what I am. I had no choice but be who I was. Kamui snapped. That's complete and utter bullshit. Kenta frowned, showing emotion for once. The Hitaki elaborated. Society is not responsible for what you are, Kenta. I faced worse ordeals than you, and I didn't turn out like you. Kazama, Obito, and countless heroes had a shitty life, and they became good and nice. Your behavior has no excuse. The Anbu shook his head. You're just a vicious scumbag, Kenta. Nothing more. If you had some shred of conscience, you would have been horrified by what you had done, and, I don't know, tried to make up for your actions, vowing never to try again. Yet, you crossed the line and never looked back. Crossing a line? Kenta asked. You crossed the line, Kakashi. You betrayed me, and you still deny your own faults. You failed me, and I sacrificed my life work for you. Your ungratefulness is, I have no word for it. Kamui had to struggle very hard not to attack. Do you understand how generous I was to take you under my wing, after your failure of a father died a coward? The monster snapped, sounding genuinely angry. Do you realize how many resources I put into creating you? How much time and effort it took to make you flourish to your fullest potential? You should thank me. I made you. I am doing all of this for you. And yet, you still refuse to accept your role as my legacy. The Anbu almost blurted something out, but Kamui made him a sign, silencing the Junin. He stared at Kenta, and took his breath. He had prepared these words carefully, and he craved for saying them. Kenta, you broke me once. The man stayed silent, obviously misunderstanding the situation. Kamui ignored him. Your plan worked once. You destroyed everything I had, cruelly, with me being unable to do anything about it. I asked myself time and time again why you didn't truly fight back when I killed you, and I understand why now. Your goal was to be remembered, to make sure I would always bear your scars. Killed once. The monster narrowed his eyes. What are you talking about? I spent years wasting my life. I sought death and it never came. In the end, I regained some measure of peace by getting to watch over my sensei's son and 2 other kids, until I failed them too. They died right in front of me, and I couldn't do a shit about it. I briefly pondered the option of simply slicing my throat and just ending it all, until I met someone very special. The picture of Kazama flashed in his mind. He is no genius, still a minor, and has a lot of issues and anger management problems. He's had a life nearly as bad as my own, and he taught me a valuable lesson. That as long as there is life, there is hope. Zabuza's face flashed. I met people who confirmed this lesson and made me stop delving into despair. He mentally pictured himself the Arashi clan as a whole. I found myself a purpose. To protect people I love, and this time, succeed. He locked eyes with the monster. Kenta, you are nothing compared to the ordeals I faced at their side. I have seen worlds where plants have the Sharingan and kill people. I have faced demons, met insane gods, and survived a collapsing tower. I defeated and killed a Raikage because he kidnapped my friends. I fought Madara Uchiha twice and lived to tell the tale. I fought ninjas with enough power to destroy entire landscapes and survived. Kamui chose that moment to snort. You, Kenta, are nothing more than a petty psychopath whose appetite for cruelty was never denied or fulfilled, a monster who thought he was more than a self-centered child that never grew up. I don't owe you anything but pain and hate. You never cared about anyone. All you ever wanted was to feed your own warped ego. I am just a toy for you, and you are nothing to me. He joined his palms. No matter what it takes, I will destroy you and prevent you from hurting anyone else. I'm not doing it for revenge, but for others. I am doing it to prove you will never, ever succeed. You are completely delusional, Kakashi. The monster's expression had darkened, and the Hitaki's Sharingan picked the slight inflection of his jaw. He didn't know what the hell was happening, and it angered him. Ungrateful student, killing me will solve nothing, for my work shall remain. You cannot kill a memory. The Anbu snorted. You don't understand a fuck, Kenta. Killing your memory will be very easy. The monster's eyebrow twitched. Your research has been destroyed. Sensei made sure of it. Danzo burned your journals in front of him and did what was necessary to make sure no one would ever pursue it. Nothing of you will survive, for we will burn this base to the ground after we kill you. We will destroy your page from the bingo book and then erase your record from Konoha. Your memory will linger in our minds, and then vanish, forever. My son won't even know your name. The Anbu shrugged, and gave the fatal blow to Kenta's hopes. It will be as if you never existed in the first place. At this moment, Kenta lost it. Oh, the mental breakdown was very subtle. He didn't scream or shout anything. He said no word, but his expressions, the Sharingan picked its transformation from stoicism to madness. Firstly, the jaw tightened. Secondly, the eyebrows narrowed. Thirdly, his eyes burned with rage. Finally, he pushed the button so hard he shattered it into pieces, throwing his lifelong goal away in a second. As both Kakashi paled in horror, he moved his lips. Failure, he whispered, as blades of bone sprung from his arms. Behind him, Rin's device had started clicking, and his hounds howled. One became surrounded by a coat of fire, the second by what looked like red thunder. I have 5 minutes before the device explodes and kill us all, 5 minutes to torture you to death for ruining my dream. 5 minutes of hope I will crush a log with your skull. Kenta's eyes turned into a disturbing, familiar sick white color. Byakugan, he whispered, as his strips were torn apart. His flesh was now covered with an armor of bone and white spikes. Fitting. He was always a monster inside. Now the exterior matched his personality. Anbu, Kamui started, free Rin and run. 5 minutes won't be enough to escape, the Anbu retorted, not sounding truly afraid. I have a skill that can get rid of the bomb, but I can only use it once. Better not have these three interrupt. So, Kenta and his dogs leapt into the air, out of blood. 5 minutes. Kamui smirked under his mask. Give me 2. Omake. Paradiverse. What the hell? Kazama asked, glaring at the assembled group of men and women and kids and cats in front of him. The force is strong within you, a version of him, dressed all in black and with a red lightsaber, whispered. I am Darth Kazama, join the dark side of the force. Or stay true to the light side. So hard to choose. Let's kick evildoers, asses. Naruto shouted, wearing orange spandex. I am so badass I will kick everyone's ass with kickasness. You don't mind if I take photos of your ass along the way? Chibaku asked, playing with naked dolls. I have made porn dolls, but I lack your ass and the breasts, dimension, if you have any, that's it. Kill or not to kill? Kitsune asked to his hand, painted in orange with a fox drawing on it for a face. Kill, the hand shot back. Murder isn't always the best solution. The other hand, still orange, didn't agree with the other. Torture has its merits too. Now, my grand plan has started. Sasori smirked, extending his hands. I will turn all of mankind into puppets. Kanai, dear Kanai, Kakashi spoke, observing the weapon as he sulked into a corner. I will have you open my veins full of angst and shed all this misery to spread M&S everywhere. Kamina, you're wimp, Zabuza roared, showing his muscles with a testosterone-laced voice. Who the hell do you think I am? I beat the shit out of the god of war. I am the ghost of Sparta. Please, please, don't leave me alone, Haku asked, holding a butcher knife. If you leave me alone, I will kill you, and I will be alone, forcing me to kill you again. I will kill everyone to prove my existence. Gaara growled, red sand floating around her. I will build sandcastles with your intestines. Meowth. A purple cat nodded. I'm going to map everything, Kubaiko whispered, a lightsaber in hands. For I am a techno-Jedi. Seeing your weapon stirs something inside me, Tobirama, Amaterasu spoke. Not only my interest. Crush. Kill. Destroy. Susanoo shouted, each and every move of his making the earth tremble. Or burn. Fate will decide. He threw a piece of money in the air and started at the result. Kill. Maim. Burn. I am certainly misunderstood. Not evil, Tsukiyomi whispered, drinking coffee with the words, evil genius, written on it. Honest. Whoa, the Paradiverse is insane, Izanami commented. I mean, everyone is a parody of himself. Incredible. How can you still be sane? Kazama, the sane one, asked. I'm goddamn Darth Vader here. Well, I am sane because I don't need an omake to do this. Izanami spanked his ass, making him redden in humiliation. But, well, I guess it can only be done here, so let's cross the line between humor and trolliness. She brought down his pants.
Chapter 31.
August Star. It started with fire. Fire release. Great fireball. Kazama shouted, unleashing a powerful red blast at his enemies. Madara gave him support by flashing his hands, firing 2 shots of blue flames. While Hanzo simply vanished, moving faster than lightning, Yagura had his hook rotate. A shield of water materialized, extinguishing the oncoming attack. Taking advantage of the situation, Kazama entered the resulting cloud of steam, summoning multiple shadow clones under cover. He let one go out into the open, and it was almost immediately impaled by Yagura's hook. Game over. The green-haired Jinchuriki grinned savagely before his latest target dispelled right in front of him. Acting on instinct, the Mizukage took a step back, barely avoiding 2 kunai, which almost grazed his temples. The kunai turned into shadow clones, who made hand signs midair, shooting fireballs at the mad warrior. Yagura spat in irritation and spun on himself like a twister, surrounding himself with a sphere of water. He copied the Hyuga, Kazama realized, analyzing the information of his clones. His reflexes are good, but he is slower and physically weaker than I am. He must be a ninjutsu expert. Hanzo chose that moment to reappear, moving almost faster than the eyes could follow. His kusarigama shined, surrounded by blue chakra turning it razor sharp. In a few perfectly executed motions, the ruler of aim slaughtered the remaining clones, moving on to charge at the real one. Kazama activated his chakra chains in response and attempted to impale the man with them. Hanzo in turn simply switched place with a raindrop, materializing right in front of the blonde. Kazama couldn't help but blink. Hanzo could use the kawarimi with a raindrop. The ruler of aim swung his kusarigama in one deadly motion, intending to behead the world wanderer. Madara chose that time to erupt from the ground, seizing Hanzo's arm. Goodbye, the Uchiha whispered as his Sharingan twisted space around his target. Hanzo growled in mild frustration, and despite all logic that said that he shouldn't have been able to, he managed to shunshine his way to freedom, materializing next to Yagura. Be wary, Naruto, the missing nin from Konoha told Kazama. Hanzo's speed is unrivaled in water. You cannot hope to match him in close combat. The blonde reluctantly nodded, eyeing the Mizukage. I'll focus on Yagura, you take Hanzo. It would be better if we did that. The Uchiha nodded before unleashing multiple blue fireballs at Rain's ruler. The man kept avoiding them, and the blonde glanced at Yagura. Die, you sheep. The Mizukage finished a hand seal sequence, surrounding his body with a layer of water before launching at the pair with bloodlust and propelled through the air as a living arrow attempting to ram into the world wanderer. Kazama barely leapt to the side, managing to get out of the way in time and unleashed his chains. They caught the Mizukage's ankles, and yanked him to a stop so suddenly that he instantly shed off his secondary water skin. Kazama then spun as fast as he could manage and tossed the dizzied madman toward the bleachers. The audience fled in horror as Yagura crashed through the seats. The Mizukage rose up quickly as expected though, anger all over his face, and started another hand seal sequence. He opened his mouth, and shot multiple bullets of compressed water at the blonde. Kazama charged forward in turn, his chains deflecting the lethal projectiles as he did so. Running faster than he had ever before, he reinforced his limbs with chakra, jumped, formed a Rasengan midair, and slammed it into the shocked Yagura's torso. The resulting aftershock resulted in a crater and a very wounded Mizukage. As Kazama leapt a few meters away, he cursed as green chakra covered the enraged Mizukage like a cloak. It seems you are a better contender than I imagined, Yagura snarled, one tail of chakra materializing from his tailbone. I will take you seriously now. In an instant, Kazama was slammed back in the air by a powerful punch to the ribs. Yagura didn't stop there and jumped forward, swinging his hook for a second and potentially lethal follow-up blow. Acting quickly, the blonde used Heat Wave to change his fall's direction, dodging the deadly strike at the last critical moment before he was left a head shorter. Regaining his footing, the wanderer threw 3 kunai covered with explosive seals at the Mizukage. The shroud's tail moved on its own and blocked the projectiles, setting them off instantly. The resulting explosion not even managing to break past the chakra cloak. Landing and once again moving at great speed, Yagura attempted a vertical swing of his hook, once more preferring to utilize his weapon to deal damage instead of relying on his cloak to do so. Kazama easily dodged it by jumping to his side, only to be surprised by a hand of green chakra whose claws targeted the blonde's chest. Shit, the wanderer cursed, as the claws barely missed the belly. They however tore apart his cloak and the shirt underneath, revealing his seal. Yagura's sadistic grin was replaced by a look of pure surprise. Jinchurik. Taking advantage of the opening, Kazama drew the 2 kusanagi from under his cloak and threw them at Yagura's heart and skull. The surprised Mizukage slightly moved to his left, dodging the lethal projectiles. One of the swords broke past the chakra cloak and grazed his chest, tearing a part of his shirt away. Yagura was not amused. "You're a demon vessel too?" he asked, misunderstanding what the seal contained. "If so, which demon do you contain? And why are you fighting me? To prove you're the strongest?" "Because you keep hurting people," he replied, throwing fireballs at the guy. However, all of the projectiles were deflected by his tail. "It's moving independently, probably the Sanbi's will. It's like fighting 2 people at once. He doesn't seem to be affected by Kusanagi's poison either. It must not work that well against a Jinchuriki with a cloak already up." The cage seemed to be downright appalled by the answer. "You're fighting for them." He pointed a finger at the fleeing crowd, who had wisely decided to flee the stadium. "For these weaklings. They don't even care about you." Kazama mentally ordered his swords to change direction and stab the Mizukage in the back. "You misunderstand. I'm not doing it to protect them. I'm doing it to defeat you," he snarled, crossing his fingers. Great fire annihilation. Releasing a huge wall of fire with his mouth, Kazama intended to roast his enemy alive. Spinning once again, the Mizukage shaped a dome of water all around himself as protection, which, if the resulting steam was of any indication, was sufficient for a time. One Kusanagi chose that time to return, piercing the shield and impaling Yagura to the ground. The dome of water crumbled on itself, leaving the bloodied Yagura to fall on himself. The blade had impaled his belly and kidney, drawing unhealthy amounts of blood. Yet, he was still alive. "Bastard," he snarled, struggling to raise his head and glare at the blonde. "Fighting people like me. You're a demon vessel, a hated sacrifice. You should be like me. You should revel in what you are and despise those sheep who keep abusing us. I am fighting for the people who deserve to strive, Yagura," Kazama replied, catching the second Kusanagi midair and preparing a beheading motion. "Too long have I been weak. You, Orochimaru, the inner council, you all have power and use it to spread pain. Even if I find most people worthless, you keep hurting the few good people the world has to offer. Now I have the necessary power, I will live to the responsibility that comes with it, creating a better world by annihilating your kind, starting with you." "You," Yagura erupted into insane laughter. "You piss me off." His chakra reserves spiked in an instant. A powerful shockwave made Kazama stagger, as a whirlpool of chakra swirled around the bloodied madman. It started mixing with his blood, and Yagura's flesh was soon merged with the disgusting material. The Kusanagi impaling the man exploded into shards. Panicking, Kazama extended his last sword, but it didn't even bother the monster. The metal was stopped by the chakra armor and the 2 tails swinging behind his back. "You piss me off." The voice was downright inhuman, deep and cruel. "Power is pain. It is a gift, not a burden." Standing proudly, Yagura had nothing to do with a human anymore. The mix of green chakra and blood covered his entire body, adding claws and cruel fangs. His killing intent was on par with Orochimaru's on a bad day. "We demon vessels are the world's gift to mankind. We are a superior species, we are the guides of evolution. People hate and fear us because they know the world belongs to us, and our will is the will of nature. If you cannot understand this, he joined his palms, you deserve only annihilation. Slamming his palms together, he opened his mouth and unleashed a tsunami. Gallons upon gallons of water flooded the stadium, destroying it and spreading the chaos outwards onto the rest of the city. Kazama was covered with water and dragged by the powerful, irresistible currents generated by the attack. Keeping his breath, the blonde struggled to emerge, only to fail. In the end, he managed to make the hand seals needed for the heat wave and used it to propel himself out of the water and luckily land on a rocky surface. This caused pain to race through his back, but at least he didn't drown. Dizzied, he managed to get up and observe his surroundings. It wasn't the floor, but a roof. Yagura had flooded not only the stadium, but the entire city. The streets were full of water, waves destroyed houses and people drowned by the dozens and floated limply down what used to be the main roads of the city. In the distance, Kazama could see the remnants of the destroyed stadium, where Madara was still fighting Hanzo. Yagura. The bastard couldn't care less if he destroyed a Megakure with his enemy. Yagura was coming, surfing on the water's waves like a hungry shark. Staying on the roof, waiting for the enemy to come, Kazama mentally ran through a list of his options. He had burnt nearly a third of his chakra reserves so far, one of the Kusanagi was destroyed, and Yagura far outmatched him in terms of strength, if not speed. Fighting him on water was akin to suicide. His remaining Kusanagi wasn't able to break past the armor. The storm flail could do the job, Kazama thought, summoning his chains and embedding the Kusanagi in the floor. He formed a Rasengan, left his chain swirl around it, and infused it with chakra. The flail glowed. When Yagura jumped in the air, intending to smash the blonde to pieces, he had been too late and the flail struck his jaw instead. The resulting shockwave propelled the Mizukage into another building, which promptly crumbled from the sudden impact. Pretty sure the bastard was alive under the debris, the World Wanderer unleashed a fire jutsu at the ruins, burning and melting what was not too soaked to catch alight. After half a minute, the target emerged from the ruins, screaming. His chakra cloak had partially receded, the storm flail having exposed his skin to the flames. Unwilling to leave him any space, the blonde grabbed the Kusanagi, jumped from his roof and slashed Yagura vertically upon landing, drawing blood. It's too easy. That's the fabled Mizukage. He's a lot less skilled than Orochimaru. His eyes widened as he came to a sudden realization and backed away quickly. He never needed skill. Willing to stand, pray. Yagura's tone was derisive, barely hiding his pain. Good. By devouring you, I will become twice as strong. He showed his fangs, and Kazama suddenly realized who had made sharpened teeth one of Kiri's national customs, and why. You're a monster, Yagura. You're not going to get away with your atrocities this time. The mad demon Bessel chuckled, his chakra cloak reforming. You're the biggest idiot I've ever seen. You think teaming up with Uchiha Madara can bring justice? Justice doesn't even exist. It's a foolish idea the weak invented to dream for a better future. He waved his monstrous claws and attempted to smash the blonde, who dodged. You're a hypocrite. You're the hypocrite, for you're the only weak one here, Kazama taunted him, dodging the enemy's blows. Even with the Sanbi's chakra working to mend his wounds, they were slowing him down. You always depended on the Sanbi to win your battles, right? That's why you fight like an amateur. The monster roared, and the duo entered a dance of life and death among the blazing ruins of the building. Kazama threw the Kusanagi like a kunai at the raving madman's face. His head jerked to the side and avoided the blow, but the World Wanderer took the opportunity to ram a Rasengan into his fangs, shattering them. The monster staggered in rage and shock. Why the hell is happening? Why am I losing? Your demon's chakra and healing factor won all the fights you were in, right? Kazama mocked him. You never truly trained, because you never needed to. You have incredible power and are using it in the simplest, most wasteful way possible, for you never fought someone that could truly harm you. In a way, Yagura was exactly like Naruto himself behaved in his youth. Relying on a few powerful jutsu and his demon's boons. Kazama progressed and worked on perfecting his skills, whereas Yagura never bothered to. Zabuza, Haku, none of them had any jutsu able to pierce his chakra armor. And if they had, it was useless when Yagura entered a full Biju rage. Now that he was facing someone that could match him, he didn't do so well anymore. You, die, Yagura snapped, opening his muzzle and gathering chakra. Bijudum. Kazama's chakra chains caught his muzzle and forcefully closed it. The unfinished green sphere of power faded away. I'm a former demon vessel, idiot. None of your tricks will surprise me. Kazama searched under his robes and brought his special weapon. A black spike extracted from Nagato. How ironic. This is for killing Yahiko. He impaled the monster's chest with it, and the weapon went straight through the chakra cloak. Yagura tried to squash his attacker with his claws, but the chains pushed them away. This is for all the people you hurt in Kiri. Kazama punched the rod, letting it progress deeper through the bastard's flesh. This is for all the AIM nin who drowned thanks to you. Another punch. The Mizukage tried to scream, but the chains kept his mouth restrained. And this is for Nagato and Konan. He formed a Rasengan and slammed it against the rod. The weapon spun on itself, pierced the monster's heart, and flew out of the Mizukage's back like a bloodied arrow. In the madness of the pain he was experiencing, Yagura found the strength to break the chains and screamed bloody murder. The sheer power of the roar pushed Kazama away, but he kept his ground. The bastard was dying, holding his wound. Even the Sanbi couldn't heal a destroyed heart. I believe you forgot something about the food chain, Yagura, the blonde mused. Man is always at the top. Not beasts like you. You, he coughed and stumbled on the ground. Isobu, avenge me. He covered his chest with his palms, and apparently ripped his seal apart. The resulting shockwave propelled Kazama down the watered streets. The surprised blonde rose up, only to be welcomed by a horrible sight. Yagura's body was burning. Green chakra was consuming the corpse, twisting it to fuel the Sanbi's return. It transformed into a building-sized, turtle-shaped monster. The surrounding streets collapsed to leave its face, as flesh was covered with green scales. The resulting creature was both horrifying and full of majesty. It was a gigantic turtle, with green crab-like shells over the limbs, human-like arms, and 3 long tails. It had only one red eye, multiple horns, and a vicious maw. Slowly, the Sanbi turned his head and glanced at the blonde below. It seems, the monster spoke with a faint, human-like tone, you killed my friend. Kazama could only feel dread at that moment. Well, it was entertaining while it lasted. The Biju cracked its fingers. It feels strange to be free again. Completely free, yet I have the distinct impression of lacking something. It is quite a strange sensation. It stared at the spot where its container used to be. This feeling, is it sadness? Loneliness? I have never experienced it before. It's painful. Its lone eye glanced at Kazama. Maybe killing you will appease my wounded heart. The turtle waved its tails and attempted to squash the world wanderer. The heat wave propelled him in the air, allowing him to dodge the blow and land safely on a roof. Crap, how am I supposed to beat a Biju? He thought, making hand seals. Fire Water release, the Sanbi spoke, crossing its claws, Aqua Jet. Much to Kazama's horror, the murderous Biju was surrounded by water that moments later flew at incredible speed toward him. A Kawarimi with a rock a few meters away barely saved the world wanderer's life, allowing him to watch as the water missile destroyed not only the building he was previously standing on, but the entire street as well. Biju can use ninjutsu. Do you truly believe I would spend years inside a ninja without picking up a few tricks? The Sanbi shot back, upon nullifying the jutsu. Crap, I need it out of aim before things get even worse, he told himself, leaping roof from roof, hoping the creature would follow. I am not going anywhere, and neither will you. Water release, rain dance. The Sanbi joined palms again, and the clouds above the city blackened, turning the previous drizzle into a downpour. In fact, finishing you off after destroying aim would be just as good as the opposite. Shit, it's transforming the area to sweet itself. Fighting here is suicide. Fighting here. Fighting here was the only option left. I have the power of a god, Biju. Kazama snarled, mostly to regain his confidence than intimidating his opponent. And I will not back down. He extended the kusanagi, turning it into a spear. The Sanbi used a kawarimi to switch with a building. Mere boasting will change nothing. The grass cutter is powerful, but you are nowhere powerful enough to. The Sanbi caught the blue chains that almost hit its eye. Sneak attack, good, scion of the Uzumaki. You met my clan. I convinced Yagura to kill the remaining survivors in Kiri. Your kin was too weak and feeble to be ignored. They were waiting Kurigakure down. It chuckled as the chains vanished. Strange. Your hair indicates the blood should be dormant. How did you manage to awaken your power? I had to beat a madman of your container's caliber. Didn't work, but still, he replied as he unleashed a cold wave at the turtle. The wind grew strong, almost phasing the beast. I used all my arsenal and it's not working. The storm flail could damage it. Nah, it's not going to let me close the gap, and it can use kawarimi. Mad. No, enlightened. The Sanbi shrugged. So goddamn casual in the middle of a battle it wounded Kazama's pride. Madara's apprentice was nothing more than a flea in front of the demon, and it showed. Yagura strived so hard to become Mizukage, the pain he felt upon realizing his dream was worthless gave him new perspective. I wonder why you are facing against your kind. Why protect people you do not care about? Why not rule? The teen scowled. In my childhood, people were in my current position and did nothing to help me. I am not going to be as selfish as they were. He shrugged his shoulders. If I am to prove myself better than others, I will have to prove it. If I can protect people from monsters like you, I will. Inaction would prove I'm just as bad as you. Konoha, Namikaze. You are fighting me, to prove you are different. The Sanbi rasped incredulously. Foolish, demon vessels are cursed to share their pain and misery. You cannot run from your own nature. No, you cannot run at all. Water release. Hydro pump. The rain swirled under the beast's muzzle and turned it into a powerful, pressured, incredibly fast torrent of water. The blast destroyed countless houses in its wake, reaching Kazama in mere seconds despite distance between the two forces. The young man barely had the time to blink. Oh crap, Seal, I need your help. He inwardly begged, as the water hit with his face. Well, almost hit. Much to Kazama's shock, space swirled around his heart, turning it into a black hole. The water blast swirled, entirely swallowed. A few seconds later, the danger non-existent, the hole closed. The teen's surprise couldn't match the Sanbi's. What is it? A space-time migration technique. The creature sounded somewhat frightened. Kazama instantly recognized Madara's absorption technique. Could the seal replicate it? Maybe he could turn the bottle's tide. It seems I will have to take you seriously. The Sanbi's killing intent skyrocketed. The creature opened its muzzle, chakra gathering into a swirling green sphere. Kazama watched horrified, as the projectile quickly reached the diameter of a building. The sheer power emanating from it was making the earth tremble. This Bijudama will turn this city into dust, and you along with it. The creature roared. Farewell, Week 1. The Bijudama was launched as fast as menacing cannonball towards its target. Kazama's eyes widened in fear as he realized that he didn't have enough time to attempt to take in this attack like the previous one. Shinra Tensei, a voice whispered from behind the wanderer's back. An invisible force pushed the sphere back into the skies. It exploded among the rainy clouds in a green fire. The world wanderer tilted his head and glanced behind him. Sorry for the delay, big boy, Izanami spoke, giving him the nice guy pose. I had to bring reinforcements. Sorry, we're late, Nagato whispered, Conan carrying him on her back. He glanced at the devastated city, and then at the Sanbi. His scowl deepened. I suppose it is time to take it down before it does any more damage. What are you doing there? Kazama frowned. I told you. I already lost a friend, Conan cut in, depositing Nagato on the ground. It won't let it happen again. At the speed of the wind, thousands of explosive tags descended from the skies upon the surprised Sanbi. In a large inferno, they all exploded, and the creature shrieked in pain. A good part of its shell fell to the ground from the overwhelming attack, broken and shattered from the damage. You miserable prey. The turtle rolled like a ball, advancing forward the group at incredible speed, smashing people and ruins down the road. Die. I have a jutsu that can take it down, Nagato spoke, a black sphere forming between his palms. I need time. Try to slow it down. Easier said than done, Kazama whispered, elaborating a plan. Conan-san, can you pull that stunt again? The girl nodded, and the blonde glanced at Izanami. Can you teleport us close? Nami can do anything. Good. The second we're near it, Conan-san, use your jutsu, and I will use one of my own.